I'm going to introduce you to Jessica Meredith, who is our driving person. So Jessica's an accomplished international carriage driver herself, but also a dedicated level 1 driving coach. She enjoys working with drivers and horses of all levels. She's coached herself by Boyd Excel, who everyone knows. I'm sure everyone has seen. Sorry?
I love this video. This is the sexiest video on the planet. It's so cool.
It's marketing 101.
Yeah.
He's, every time I watch him drive, and I know very little about driving. I had a friend growing up that does now combined driving in the US, and he's on the US team. But he had standardbreds. They kept in a paddock together as a kid, and I come from California, and our horses are stabled on concrete, and they never see anything, and he kept them together, as a youngster. This was like, oh my God. By the way, now all my horses live in shared paddocks, and they don't ever get stabled. But it was just a different, we grew up differently. And I remember seeing Boyd a few times, and you see him, and he's driving 4 horses, and they're all in the same phase of the same movement. And I'm like, how do you even, I'm a dressage rider, and I try and get a leg to lift, a centimeter higher on one horse with I'm on the horse with 4 reins, and he's doing it with however many reins in his hand. It's amazing. Anyway, I'm going to go back to Jess. So she shares her own learnings and knowledge to driving enthusiasts nationally, in her own clinics, and virtually throughout the country. Her passion lies in witnessing those light bulb moments in her students and watching the synchronized collaboration between driver and horse. She's based in Armidale, is vice president of the Tamworth Regional Horse Drawn Club. She's previously been a chairperson on the EA National Driving Committee and is a past committee member of Horse Driving Trials of the Horse Driving Trials Club.
Yeah.
So in case you're not convinced yet that we have the goddess of driving in our midst, I'm going to list a few more of her accolades. So Jess has competed throughout both Europe and the British driving circuits. She's competed in 2 Pony Pairs World Championships in Denmark and in Germany. She's been the Australian team coach of the Horse World Singles, which was in Italy. She's the event secretary has been the event secretary of the Tamworth International Horse Driving Trials, which is the FEI 2-star event. She's developer and organizer of the Youth Development and Adult Grassroots Clinics. And she's been Administrator of the Year for Equestrian New South Wales. So she's just, like Sally, these people that we have here today have given their lives to our sport. So much of this.
Could I add that could Jessica give us a bit more information about her family, because they were very influential in driving.
Well, she's already got,
Can you give that in, please? Because while your resume is very fancy.
No.
Give you a 10 out of
I'm
10.
just a country bumpkin, really. I love my horses.
That Meredith's name is very famous in driving. So
Right. Well, I will hand over to you, and you can fill everybody in on that.
Everyone. I am not a public speaker, so I'll put the disclaimer out there. But so I've been very kindly asked by the coaching committee, especially Kristen, to come and do a little talk. Hopefully give you some information about driving and to see what driving can give you, and mainly what you guys can actually give to driving, because there's so much crossover and information that you guys can give to us. So, and thank you to New South Wales as well with this one. So, Wheels in Motion, I don't know, has anyone seen who's driving there?
Tom Vandenberg.
Yep. So this is when he was still in Australia. So quick little things. This was my first original little pony when I was 3. But so I learnt to drive with him from the age of 8, and I was very lucky to have the late Edgar Litchbar. I don't know if anyone...
Yes.
Yes. So I was under him for 12 years before I went overseas. And I started driving when I was 8. So I had 3 years of training with Edgar before I even went to my first competition. So I was quite lucky in that respect. And then when I was overseas, I was very lucky to go under Boyd and a couple of other ridden dressage. Sarah Houston, I don't know, Molly Sibright?
Yes.
Yes, that's her daughter. So she did a lot of ridden work with me as well. So that was very good. And then the other end's there. So it is.
I've got her books. So yeah, you have Molly's.
So,
You have her books.
just bit of history. 2700 BC, the first known horse driving carriage. 1970 with the FEI discipline that was actually recognised through Prince Philip, almost Prince Philip. He actually wrote the original rules for international sport with that one when he gave up polo. He couldn't do polo anymore. And then in 2006, the para was recognised through the FEI as well. So we're staying there quite nicely. A little fun fact, I don't know, can you all read that or not? I thought this was quite fun. It's a bit mind-boggling to think that this was the days when there wasn't too much health and safety with that one. But the late Queen, an axle broke, a tree, hooked on, off we go. But actually, this rule actually still states that four wheels must cross the finish line. It's still in there in the rule book. So, with that one. Driving is an art, like all other disciplines, but equally like eventing, there's like 3 phases to this. And I have to say, you have to be a daredevil with it, but the love of the horse as well. So, and another lovely one of Boyd, as you say, all in stride with that one. I don't know if the videos are actually going to...
Test out the internet.
The internet's not.
You can just say, oh no, it's loading.
Driving is one of the oldest competitive equestrian sports and dates back to the ancient Greeks well over 2,000 years ago. A modern-day driving team consists of 3 athletes, a backstep who helps steer the rear of the carriage, a navigator who helps direct the driver, and the driver who controls the direction of the carriage using a team of 4 horses. The FEI Championship driving is split over 3 phases: dressage, marathon, and cones. Phase 1, the dressage test. The objective of the driven dressage test is to show discipline, ease of movement, and regularity of pace within an arena. The drivers who have the best score lead the way into the next day's competition. Phase 2, the marathon stage. The objective of the marathon is to test the fitness and stamina of the horses, as well as the driving skill and judgment of pace of the athlete across several obstacles. The final phase is the cone stage. The cone stage is to test the fitness, suppleness and obedience of the horses, as well as the skill of the athletes as they manoeuvre through a course of cones. On top of each cone is placed a ball. If knocked and the ball falls, a penalty is incurred, which is added to their final score. The competitor with the lowest penalty score after all stages is the winner and crowned the FEI Driving World Champion.
So, so as you know, there's like the 3 phases within the sport. It has, to be fair, changed a lot, and it's just recently the whole sport's completely changed again. Like in my short time, it's changed 3 times completely, the sport, to evolve how it is. But just some quick facts. So now the arenas are actually gone to a 40 by 80, except still for the 40 by 100 for the 4 in hand. We're always 40 by 100 size arenas. The training scale is actually exactly the same as all the other disciplines. So, and then the movements with variations of everything in there. And the National Committee have actually brought out these challenge tests now that are based on the World Young Horse competition, where it's all about the paces and everything like that. And then there's a cones course. It's all about the training scale and things like that. So these are the new ones that have all come out through the national. The young lady there in the red, she's actually another Australian that's based in America. We were both juniors together, Janelle Marshall. So, and she's doing very well. She's done a couple of worlds over in Holland. So there's that one. If there's any questions, please ask. With the leg yielding. Oh, sorry, leg yielding. Sorry, there's our first spelling one done. So yeah, so we do all exactly the same as mainly, you know, dressage and things like that. And this is the biggest change to the sport this year that's just come in. We used to just have, originally when I first started, 5 phases. I think it's like the cross country, it had changed in the 2000s, wasn't it? With their steeplechases and things like that. So now we're down to literally 2 phases. So we've got our section A, and that's the 5 to 9 kilometres of roads and tracks that we have, time allowance there. Or, this is the new one, is a controlled warm-up area that's managed by a steward and everything like that. Our main driving steward here in Australia is Andrea Webb. And I know she does a lot of the other disciplines as well as an official. And then we only have a 5-minute halt. Before it was a 10-minute halt. And now as well we do have a warm-up obstacle that's quite new. So it's in a controlled area. And there's an obstacle that you can have a run through. You've only got 2 minutes within there to warm up before then going into your section B, and that's where you see the 8 obstacles that you drive through. And then usually then we would have a steward, present of the ground jury at the end that would see us come over. Now it's actually a cool down area. So this is a completely new format that's just started at the beginning of the year for the marathon section for driving. So I personally haven't done this yet, but it's just, moving forward.
That obstacles in section B, is that what we see most televised?
Yes.
That go to the
Yes.
and up and down hills
Yes.
and everything?
Yep. With that one. So,
Amazing. Like,
When a daredevil comes out.
yeah, but like
So-
somebody must ride a horse around it and they're driving. I mean, they're tight, the turns, you know, and I'm like, 4 horses like that.
but I think if you put us in your position, we'd be probably exactly the same. As well, I would anyway. So some quick facts. The faster that you are in each of the obstacles, that's less of the penalty. So that's how you accumulate your penalties through your marathon. With that one, your drivers and navigators and your backsteppers, depending on what combination you have, will walk the marathon, would walk all the obstacles, get your times and everything all sorted. And then within the obstacle, you've got your A to F gates that you're red on your right, white on your left, and you have to actually go through that alphabetically. You can go A, B, C, A, D if you would like, but you can't go A, B, D, C. So it's working out what route suits your combination with that one. So you can have an obstacle and you can have 5 people that go through that can actually drive it 5 different ways. So as a steward and a timekeeper on the thing, it can be quite mind-boggling.
There's no more penalties?
No, because it's just time. It's just time as you go in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like a slight road or a black flag or something.
Yep. So you've got your marathon that's between 9 to 18 kilometres, your roads and tracks. And then you've got the 5 to 8 obstacles with that one. That's within the 9 to 18 kilometres. And you've roughly, it's a kilometre between each obstacle. And they vary then with the meterage within your obstacle depending on how you walk your obstacle. And then as well as another section, you've got a combined marathon that's kind of like what you see in the indoor, but it's 2 obstacles, 8 to 12 cones with that one. That's like the EA version, instead of doing a full marathon with that one. So down here, if I get this right. So these are a couple of the drawings from Aachen last year that we got. I think there was like 38 boxes in, you know, this one, the water and things. So it is a bit of a jungle when you get in there, and that's where your navigator, so your top step, or in a team, or your back stepper would help with guiding you through it. And everyone has different ways of instructing through there. And then we've been very lucky, this is our second, if I'm right, second para driver for Australia. She was last year at the Worlds, and she was bronze medal, and that's Jodie McKean. So she's got Shepherd's Hill horses. I don't know if anyone's heard of from Victoria, but yeah, so she's our second one for Australia. Cones. So wheel width for a pony, your carriage is mainly 130 centimetres, the cone width is 160, so you've only got 22 centimetres excess to get through. And then it's got the 20 cones, 2 balls, and every cone knocked down is 3 penalties, and there's an optimum time for that one. So, and then this is one of the cones courses down here.
Is there any maximum limit to the cones to be knocked down?
Sorry, what was that? Maximum, no, we call it the cricket score.
Yeah. I think in dress, the jumping, the chap was talking about like it was a mercy rule. You had like 16 to 20 candidates they wanted to do.
Oh, right, yeah, no. Have you got a cricket score or not? Yes. Yeah. Yes. So, and as well with the sport, cones has really changed. There's that kind of difficult dynamics is that you've got the technology and the mechanics of a carriage that still can be quite traditional, and you've got the sport that's actually quite fastened up. So the speeds have actually got a lot quicker for the cone section. So there's that kind of, they are slightly bringing it back again because it has helped that the structure and everything of the carriages have been improved with that one. So there's a lot. This is Royal Windsor, if you can find your way through there. And that's usually in a 70 metre by 100 arena space that kind of fits in. You've got your 20, you've got your speed, 240 metres per minute. The length is 725. The time allowed is 181 seconds to do that. So it is, so to get a double clear is very, very good. But it's that catch-22, do you go for the time or do you go for a cone? So it's, oh, sorry. And these are one of the new things with the circles. They've got a narrow, so they've brought their, usually called their blue cones, and they've narrowed it even further in. So yeah, it's the 180 with that one. So I don't know, is this going to play? If it's not, we'll...
This week's athlete in focus is the current world champion and standings leader, Australian Boyd Excel, who enjoys the excitement of indoor driving.
The big difference between indoor driving and outdoor driving is the intensity of an indoor performance in 3 minutes. You know, one small adjustment becomes a big mistake. You get the domino effect very quickly with indoor driving. One of the most enjoyable things about outdoor driving is seeing the fruits of your training. You know, that when you've trained your horses, they performed how you expect them to outdoors. Increasingly, the courses are becoming more technical, but actually the drivers have improved with their horsepower, and the course designers have got a few new options that they can use. They use 2 speed boxes. There's Type A and Type B. One is a U-turn and one is more of a 45 degree. That's bringing new challenges and new extra faults. but still indoor driving has the magic formula of sport plus entertainment plus intense competition.
Being the current world champion, Boyd knows the importance of his team.
The indoor team is not just a team of 5 horses and carriages and trucks, it's also a team of people. And your backup team is as important as your team of horses. And Hugh Scott Barrett's absolutely, he has heightened sensors on split times, on performances where people are losing or gaining times. He gives me that information while I'm going around. And Emma Olsen, you know, from Sweden, she's my navigator, and she's got a photographic memory. She can learn the course, walk the course once, and then she's learnt it already. So she's vital to keeping me sort of on track.
And he enjoys the challenges of the Swiss circuit.
Geneva's a big arena. The course is a mixture of flowing and fast, with just a couple of moments you've got to like put the car back in second gear and then accelerate out of the turn. After that first oxer coming to the first hazard, that can make a few seconds difference, you know, from the oxer to A. And the turn into the water, you know, it's much for much whether you go around the water or you can cut across the water. So it just depends on how much power I've got. If I feel like I've got a lot of power and speed, I'll just shoot up over the hump and go around the outside and keep the speed.
So, disclaimer, there was nobody hurt in this photo. So this one was actually, I think, taken at Tamworth with that one. And so actually that's Bob Edwards. He's our coach educator for driving that we have up in Queensland, that he drives the horse team with that one. And he's done, we did the World Equestrian Games in Aachen. He competed, Boy couldn't because he just broke his leg, but yes, we went and did that one. So the power, so the horses, so we've got singles, pairs and 4-in-hand combinations with that one. Your pony height's the same because it's the FEI is 120 to 148 for the singles, but for the multiples it goes to 108, just because over in Holland and everywhere they've got the smaller little ponies, so it's 108 to the 148 for the multiples, and then 148 over for the horses. And this is one of Tor's newer teams that have come out, and 2 of them are actually Australian bred that have gone over. And they were the original ones in the first photo, but they're still in the team at the present moment. This is one of them. Drivers, it's a sport for all ages. We're inclusive, so anyone can drive with that one, and we do grassroots to international. But yeah, from the age of 10, they can mainly start with driving with that one. So yeah, we're very inclusive, very inclusive. And the young driver there, Ned Andrews, he's actually just graduated and he's now Boyd's backstepper. So he did Aachen jump and drive last year and he's just gone over and he's been doing a couple at the moment. So he's just finished school and gone out. And he was at the junior clinic at Tamworth, so a little bit of, you know, So we've got the navigators and backsteppers. So there's the 2 different things. The navigator gives the information to the driver. The backstepper is there to actually work with the carriage. Equally, the navigator, so you can see Hugh down here, but you've got Emma up the top that's giving information to Boyd, but it's actually, you can see a little dial there. That's the turntable brake, so she can actually control it even more. Even though Boyd's got foot brakes, she can control it more so there's not enough spin, and they will talk about how much, if it's a quarter, a half, a full lock on at certain points within the indoor, the outdoor, everything like that. So these 2 people, or even in your single and your pairs, is very vital. They're just, yeah, amazing. It takes a village, you know, with Boyd, he's got a huge support crew behind him. The single and the pairs, you just have the one your four in hand, you have your two. You have your navigator and your back stepper on the back with that one. Now the new National EA Driving Committee have just brought out a educational resource for backsteppers to do. It's a little online course, 20 minutes. So if you're interested to be on the back of the carriage at any time, there's a QR code and that will go on the system anyway. But they've designed that. It's a great little tool just to give you a basic understanding of it. Does anyone know which way to which way to lean if you're going around a corner, if you're on the back of the carriage? Yeah.
Into it?
Yep. Yep.
Then into it?
Yep. It's like being on a motorbike. Your motorcycle is leaning with that one. And it depends on the camber as everything like that as well. So, so this is a new thing that the National Committee have just brought out, that I've done it, even as a driver and a coach. It's a great little tool. So, with that one. Now the equipment. We've got the harness, and it's like you guys with saddles and things. A correctly fitted harness means everything for a happy horse. Same as your bitting, I'll talk about bitting. You've got the carriages. So this is like your presentation carriages, because usually would normally have two types of carriages. Your presentation for your dressage and your cones, and then you have your marathon one. But lots of people here have these as your three phases, they're known, so they can do everything. And that's based off the Phaeton carriages as a traditionalist. So with those, so you've got different ones for the different phases. Helmets, like everyone else, tagged helmets. We have body protectors as well for the marathon section. And air vests and things like that, but it's all compulsory these days. Bitting. It's one of those wonderful, endless learning processes that I have to say, Boyd is like a walking encyclopedia with bitting. But this is like let's say your most traditional driving bit. It's called like a Liverpool bit. Has anyone used or seen them? Yeah? Oh, you inherited, right here. Okay. So, does anyone know roughly how they work? Yeah. So what we call like this plain cheek, right? And that's where the chain doesn't come into gear. That's your neutral gear, right? And then this one, this one's your half gear, right? So we call that rough cheek. And that's when the chain starts to come into gear, and then you've got your first slot, and then your second slot, depending. So that's roughly how they work. And then you've got the mouthpieces, like with ridden. There's a minefield, but driving as a discipline is very open to all bits. So with a lot of the other disciplines, there's quite a restriction within bits. Driving is not. The FEI is trying to change it, and we're very against it. Yes, we don't do gags and bitless and things like that, but everything else, because one bit doesn't fit all. And so we're very open to using all different ones and how it works. And so as a coach teaching and helping students, the first thing they say about bitting, there's a chain on it, it's severe, it's, you're trying to yank them in. It's actually the way that the bit's mechanically supposed to work, and that's why it's there. And if it's used correctly, it's brilliant. So, and then you've got, the harness with that one.
The bottom, clips there, is that sort of standard?
Let's say if somebody was getting into driving, that would be their first, or it's the most recognised, let's say, driving bit. But it was just a nice, clear one to show the different levels. And so if you see, like with Boyd or Tor or things, with a team of 4, each horse will have a completely different bit. and they will have, like mine have a different bit for the dressage, a different bit for the cones, a different bit for the marathon, depending on, so when they put that on they know what they're doing, because it's a completely different phase, so that's a different, you know, requirement. So
Is it only the bit that changes between the different
no.
things?
No, so the harness. So harness, you'll see like with the presentation, they'll collars, the traditional collars and everything like that. And then with like the Zilco, you've got your breast collars, and you've got different types of empathy ones they brought out for lower windpipes and things like that. So yeah, there is variations, but generally, your good old Zilco is the harness that's mainly used as a non-professional. So, do you want another video? No. Oh, sorry. Sorry, these are juniors with this one, but it's a great little sport. So, oh, sorry. This lady, this was me when I was little. I haven't grown very high, but Sarah, she was a South Australian, if I get this right, eventer that was coaching in Armidale when she was at university. And my brain's completely gone now. And she competed against the lady. Oh God, I've done that one now, haven't I? As an eventer. But there's the crossovers that I've used over the years. So it's just not driving coaches I've used, it's other discipline coaches I've always used as well. Boyd is probably the first one that's solely driven, but equally his wife has given me, Preetha, a couple of ridden lessons as well. And he uses a lot of ridden with it. Now,
There was a photo earlier on of a grey horse, and I think you were the backstepper?
yes, so our other driver today is Kirsten that's up the back, and that was, she was driving and I was backstepping. I am not a backstepper, I'm definitely a driver. It's hard work being on the back. So trying to give a bit of variety, and so when I was videoed, this was before phones and everything. So this is on a camcorder, but I just wanted to give you another one with the pairs and things. It's a little video, so sorry, it might be a little.
Sorry, it's a bit blurry.
But these are ponies. They're right on the border of a pony. God, that's even worse on a large thing, that's fine. But I just wanted to show that position, right? So I'm still upright, I've still got my hands out in front, and I'm utilising my body like riders. We utilise our body, we're not just sitting there. And that's why I quite like this one, because it's quite visual in that respect. And I've got the pink gloves on that you can actually see. So this was the second obstacle at the Worlds. There's knockdowns, so we've got knockdowns on the tops, little balls, and if you hit them, it's another 3 penalties time. I hit one, still fastest in the world, sorry, but it was just, I was really angry with myself actually on that one, but anyway. But I just wanted to show the posture with that one. Yes?
Might sound a silly question.
No.
When you've got pairs or
Yep.
4, do you have like lead horse, second horse, third horse, fourth horse? Do they have positions where the horses know that they're the top dog and the others will kind of follow as
so
well, or it doesn't matter where?
So so let's say 4 in hand, you will naturally have leaders.
Yeah.
They're the ones that want to take you. So that's what you would have up. And then you would have your workforce behind as your wheel, as you would call them. You can, so as a training thing, you would rotate them, but some horses quite like their positions or their sides and things like that one.
You don't train them to a position necessarily.
You can fine tune it, but you try and get that natural ability.
Yep. So,
because trying to create a leader is not always. It's a good yeah.
So if you're in a team of 4, would your lead horse, if you want to call it that,
Yep.
would be your first horse on the left
Yes.
of you, and that's just going to get everyone else to let's go.
Or no, they would work at 2 as a pair.
Okay, so they work in pairs as a team of four,
Yep.
the horses?
Yep,
That's
yep,
more than
yep, as a pair, as a pair. So the pair out the front would work together, yep, 2 leaders and 2 wheelers.
horses, and
Yep,
then they-
and they would work together.
Yeah.
And another little thing is, so, this is probably good. I was talking about this on the weekend. Sorry, my fingernails are awful, but horse people, isn't it? When you're going around a corner, right, with a team of 4, and actually it works exactly the same as a single, what horse do you think would pull the carriage going around a corner? The inside or the outside corner?
The outside.
So if you pull with the outside horse, what would happen? Drift which way? In or out? In or out? No. In. It's exactly the same, outside rein. Inside horse pulls you around the corner. Yeah? So you drive, as they say, they drive the inside horse. And it's like you drive your inside shoulder so you come around your corner. So it's always the inside for the outside rein. So it's all exactly the same. But yeah, lots of people when they're learning to drive multiples, they want to, hurry up the outside horse, and that automatically makes them fall in and everything like that. Actually, you want to drive the inside horse forward to drive out and around.
So then you're using like your outside horse as the balance, and the inside.
Yeah, so the outside horse is just kind of going around, but the force is coming from the inside. And it's like the single. If you just take that away, it works exactly the same. It goes back to this your single reins.
How difficult is it to get horses matching when you're purchasing?
So a lot of it goes down.
Because I guess I'm saying temperament.
Well, it's like you guys going to a yard or a field and looking at a horse and going, what's your requirements and everything. So they'll be looking for hock action, knee action, if it's more knee action, if we're more out, the head carriage, the set of the shoulder, the brain. That's the other thing, you've got to have a brain. Like I had a lovely little German riding pony, it was perfect, but just didn't have the brain. So it's trying to...
Movement, but not the...
Yeah. And so, like with Boyd, he originally started with the Gelderlanders, a traditional Dutch breed that are very like, wow, but they take a long time to settle and they're not as trainable as kind of, let's say, your German warm bloods and things like that, where they're a lot more trainable and things like that. So it's just like you guys going and looking your requirements and then you fine tune, oh, that's a born leader or that's a born workhorse and things like that.
So. Photo where there was elevation and curl in the 2 front legs.
Yes.
And a real, like a longer range of motion in the second pair of 4. Is that, like, do you match them pair to pair?
Yes.
As opposed to all 4? Yeah.
Yep. Because equally, if you don't match them correctly, the pull of the carriage as well, it's a very weird feeling. Even if you don't have the harness set up correctly, with your traces, they're the ones that go from your collar back to the carriage as a connection. If they're not set level, you get this jerking. And even if you've got a horse that's 2 hands higher than the other one, it doesn't really matter. You set the harness to actually position the horse, like let's say the smaller horse, the one that may have not as long a stride, to actually come back. It's shorter in the carriage, so it actually hits the pull at then the same time as the bigger horse would. So it's just working out. Sorry.
When you're turning, does the horses on the outside have to take a longer stride, and the horses on the inside take a shorter one? Or is that, does that not actually happen?
No.
I'm just thinking of riding in a team of 4, where you have to hold the horse on the inside and then...
No, because you're equally your outside, you've still got connection with your outside rein, and so that is your outside horse. You know, you can't lose your outside rein, can you? Because then you don't have anything. So it's still there. It may be a slightly lengthened frame, if anything, But they're still connected to the pole, everything like that. They're still as a pair.
They're attached from breastplate. They're attached to each other as well, and then the reins.
The reins remain. So at the end of the day, you only have four. You have 4 horses, but you only have 4 reins in your hand, and they're crossed over. And again, it's another mind-boggling thing: is setting up the reins, because it's all crossed over to work your inside and your outside reins. Without, but it's all exactly, it's all the same as riding. Like it's, yes, there's no. So disciplines. Who have we got? Because I don't know anyone. Sorry. What disciplines do we have here? I was going to say, should I say dress? Any other eventing? Okay.
Jumping. Venters.
Any vaulters? Any endurance?
Does anyone do para?
There's not a yes.
Or do
para
right? Okay, because I'm very novice with all that. Okay, radio. Because I have no information. Like I'm new to all that. Okay. I'm learning lots when it comes to.
What we've tried to do with these professional development days is to showcase a particular discipline at each one, especially the ones that are smaller or we don't know that much about.
Yeah.
So obviously driving was this one.
Yep.
We want to get involved in that. At the last one we showcased show horse, and the first one we showcased, the other one we showcased vaulting. The first one we showcased para and the equability stuff.
Wow.
So we've done just about. Obviously we've never showcased dressage, jumping, and eventing because.
Is that next year?
No. But yeah, maybe we'll bring that into it today.
So I just wanted. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I've done a fair bit of show driving. Like we've got
okay.
Show harnessed horses, a Welsh colt, and an Arab that was shown actually.
In a single.
Yes, in a single. Yeah, that's Sydney. They were done last 6 years at Sydney. So.
Oh, there we go. We've got a carriage drive in the spot.
So, Jessica, can I just ask?
Yes.
So, that's an interesting point. Is this the driving that you're talking about? It's like the eventing, really?
Exactly the same as eventing.
And does your society, your sort of area, does that cover show horse drivers as well, or no?
No.
That's a completely separate.
Yes. So within Australia, we've got 2 organisations that deal with driving. So we've got EA as one, and then we've got the ACDS. That's the other one. The EA is, like all other disciplines, is solely through the FEI rule book and growing up through that. Then you've got the ACDS that equally covers, they call it the combined driving. They've got showing, pleasure and historical, and there's one other. Thank you very much. So they cover all different areas of driving within Australia. So you've got the 2. I think it's kind of like there's show horses, endurance as well, that have got different. And I suppose to a certain, I don't know if, with the dressage, with the adult riders and things. So there's 2 different there. But with the EA, they are promoting through the FEI rule book, going through with that one, with the 3 phases. With that one. So a little bit, any other questions before I go on the sport?
Is there different weight limits for the carriages?
Yes, there is. So your single pony, like the little one that I would have, is 120. And then Kirsten's one as a single horse is...
Sorry, I don't know either.
is I think it's around about the 150 to 60 kind of thing. And then you kind of go up to the 400, 500 for the teams of 4. So, yes. So equally within building the carriage, it's got to be sustainable into carrying that weight to the best. Yes, very technical. Love it, learning lots. It's always changing, yes.
So I'm talking about the driving through the FEI rule books.
Yes.
Is there a national law book for driving?
For the EA, yes. So they've just updated. No, it has been released. So it's the new one that's out now. So that's why I've taken a couple of things from there. So they've been very active, very proactive with getting new rule books out, new tests out, cones out, the backstepper course. They're doing official courses with that one. They haven't done coaching, but yeah. So it's a very proactive at the moment. So it's brilliant.
Do you get much crossover from harness racing drivers into this sport?
As a driver, no, but as ponies, yes. The mini trots, you do see quite a lot. There's a couple in our club that have come across, as for beginners and things that come across. So yes, and the standardbreds as well. So that's a great breed to kind of start off as a basic driver and things. Yes, with that one. So the other thing was the cross-discipline coaching. For you guys, it's another feather in your cap to kind of learn about and to be able to coach, because I think you guys can actually benefit our sport so much and our drivers with that one. What do you guys, after just seeing the quick overview of the sport, what you guys could actually bring to driving? Any question, like any answers? What you guys can think as coaches that you could, if somebody as a driver came to you saying, can you help me? What do you guys think you could benefit them with?
Horsemanship, I think, is the
Yeah?
best. Safety and understanding where the horse is
Yep.
getting to and rest them.
Yep. Lateral work, in all the the lateral work, positions, athlete positions with that one. A lot of grid work, like the show jumpers, with the grid work, you can still do your grid work through the double lunging, or you can convert the poles to cones and doing things like that. Mindset with Ben as a jumper, there's so many different areas that you guys, and because the training is still exactly the same, doesn't matter. It might just have a carriage behind it. And a lot of, like I follow a lot of the overseas lot, like I love watching Piggy Marsh as an eventer. I get so much from her, and she's just an eventer to help me. The cycling, I love watching cycling. It doesn't have to be within your own sport.
I see it's the other way. I think the crossover would be your sport come to us to dressage. I think your sport could offer with the driving and the feeling that you have without being on top of them, coming back the other way.
Yep. Yeah.
So I don't always see as coaching as the coach learning, teaching the student. I think a lot of the time the student is actually teaching the coach.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that the connection is back the other way for me.
Yep.
I think that.
Yep. So what I really want is that if you saw somebody or if you know somebody, just to have that discussion and not be afraid that you're just from one discipline, because what is happening, your athletes are already crossing over, and we see that with Tor. Lisa Martin, as a para rider, is a driver as well. I think she was competing during the week, and we've got another, Talisa is another club member that's a para rider. The officials are crossing over. We have quite a lot of judges that are officials. Rachel is one of the newer ones. So it's already happening in all the other areas, but not coaching. But it can happen with that one. And as everyone says that has come across, especially as a driver, because a lot of, it sounds a little bad, that there's people sometimes fall into the sport in the respect that they might have finished their riding career or something, but still want that connection with the horse and the competition that they come to driving. And they always say, I wish I moved to driving a lot sooner, because it is such a wonderful sport. With that one.
If someone did want to go into this or coach into this, what would be the cost of an entry-level marathon carriage and transport?
So everyone, lots of people ask me this question, and my answer is that you can do a sport on whatever budget, right? You can buy a horse for 500, you can buy a saddle for 500, right? Or you can buy a horse for 30 grand. You can buy a carriage for, 50 grand. It doesn't, there's always that start. We all start somewhere. Like I started, I don't think I've publicly put it up there, but in a little basic little jogger, and my first little pony was $20 that Mum bought. We all start somewhere. So you can do a sport on whatever budget. And I think you can all probably say it with other disciplines. You can buy a basic saddle, or you can buy, the top range. It just depends with that one. But there's, lots of carriages out there for like $2 grand. A harness is another 1,800, like for a pony, things like that.
With your coaching system, you have a coaching system. You follow ours the same level.
Yes. Yes.
What's your highest level coach you've got here at the moment?
Is Bob that we saw is a level 2, and so the level 1 is just for singles, and then the level 2 is multiples. And I think at the present moment that's only pairs. It doesn't include 4 in hand. And Bob is our coach educator with that one. So we've got a couple of new coaches in Queensland. There's a couple of us here in New South Wales. 2 I think in Victoria, so yes. But we encourage more, not just driving ones, so yes. New South Wales, it was a lovely up in Tamworth. So New South Wales have always been very supportive of driving through the years. We've got little Isabel there that, she was just starting out at the junior clinic with that one. We've got another lovely club member there. So it doesn't matter what age, ability, everything like that. Any other questions before I mind-ball you? Is that going to play or not?
Winner at the London International Horse Show. Winner of 6 qualifiers during last year's 22-23 season, with Binoc, Conversano Poker, Maitoso Jupiter, and Mad Max, Boyd Excel, Emma Olsen, Luke Astagano. Gold on the hat, gold on the veils of the horses. Will it be gold in Mechelen for Boyd Excel? Will it be the Australian national anthem played aloud here in the Neckar Hall? You wouldn't bet against it, would you? Here we go. Let's see. I think this man was saving a little bit for this drive-off against the clock. I think he calculated it just right. He knew exactly what he had to do. He knew that he could get into the top 3 with an easy run and then let rip here in the drive-off against the clock. And I think he's doing just that. Has to stay accurate though, because I think with Michael Broschler, the marathon supremo, he can't afford to make a mistake. But just look at him through the marathon obstacles there, reels in the right rein, then switches to the left. Oh, he's so close to the obstacle there, through B. Now for C. In he goes, red on the right, through C. Now for D, turning back. That's the D element. Where does he go now? He's looking for E. He's got it. and then the loop around on the left rein. Back to F. And then it's go, go, go. Come on, Boyd Excel. Come on, Binog, Maisatoso Jupiter, Conversano Poker, and Mad Max. Gallop now. Leave it all out there in the Neckar Hull. This is exceptional sport. It really is. You won't see anything like it anywhere else in the world. 67.06 the split time there. And he has a little bit of room to spare. He's up on the clock by 4 seconds, and this is what he was saving the energy for. The second run. In he goes. A. Tight turn back. Where's B? There it is. Through he goes. B. Look how tight he is there through C. Changes again. Now for D. Through he goes. 2 gates remaining before he can leave the second set of marathon obstacles. E. And then the loop back, the run around. Oh, this is going to be close. Even with a 4-second time penalty from the first to go, Bram Chardon. The time to beat is 28.30. And now it's the gallop. It's all about the run to the final fence. 14 seconds to get home. This is going to be so close at the top of the leaderboard. It really is. Has Boyd Excel done enough? Is he going to excel this evening? Yes, he is. Just the finish to go through, and he does. 126.57 already. He's up, he's on his feet, he's punching the air in delight because he thinks that is enough to win it here in Mechelen. Is it game over? Is it lights out in the FEI Driving World Cup? Boyd Excel thinks so. But the last to go, Michael Broschler, will have his say this evening. That is why that man is the world number 1, the world champion and the reigning World Cup holder. Look at Luke Astagano there. Oh, he's risking it all. And then the grooms as well. Emma Olsen doing all she can to guide Boyd around this course, giving him words of encouragement, words of direction, but a special mention to Luke Astagano because he...
Equally, it's not just coaching. If you want to become a driver, if you want to become an official, a spectator, anything within driving, you are most welcome. Most welcome. Yes.
Is there many accidents and who monitors some horses wrong there? Like I was judging my FEI Grand Prix
Yes.
throughout years. We have comments like open mouth, tongue out, horse too much behind vertical.
Yes.
So the neck's too tight, the horse is being strained in a certain way. Has anyone monitored that as comment yet? Like with RMBCA, anything have you? Or anything like that?
Touchwood, no. Touchwood, no. So generally your head judge is your president of your ground jury. They're the ones, again, like all other disciplines, is in control. You've got your stewards, so like Andrea is always roaming around.
I think in carriage driving, I've been carriage driving now for 8 years. Because it's so dangerous, it's really very safe. Because they're very aware of all the problems that can go wrong. So it's really well maintained. And you see with horses that everyone's extremely helpful. So if horses are doing things that aren't correct, people will help and tell them that it is very well disciplined. What I wanted to ask people, do you see EA becoming more active in carriage driving? Because at the moment, like I've been doing it for 18 months, I've never been, New South Wales sponsors the Ashes.
Yes, yep.
Every other thing I've been to has been ACGS. I've been to no EA things at all.
Yep. So there's a very strong group up in Queensland with that one, and the Southern Highlands is affiliated with that one. What we used to have at Tamworth, but equally as all other sports, you've got to recognise the time and the change and everything and the costings and things as a sport. And I think you brought it up, was within metropolitan area, that's where dressage is. And it's like with the driving, it is further down south and everything like that. Because as a state, we are so large, but the sport's so small with that one. So I think with the current EA National Committee, they're very proactive. And we've all got to start somewhere. The wheel keeps rotating and we learn going forward.
Because it seems to be very active in Queensland.
Yes.
Like
Simon, I might answer that question.
Yeah.
So, New South Wales is very keen to stand up a carriage, driving committees. And we did call for nominations for a committee last year. We got one person who was not an EA member, so was happy to become one. So if you want to join, I'll try and stand up a committee again this year. Well, I need people to stand for it. I can't have a committee without people.
And I think it's like all disciplines, you know, getting committees and everything. It's people's time, commitment. It's not just, I suppose, one discipline. I think that's the one thing I did learn so much from being on the national committee, working. I was very lucky we rebased the EA National Chair Committee and working with the other disciplines, that actually driving were exactly the same issues, but on a small scale. All disciplines have got the same issue, but on different scales.
Yeah, I see in New South Wales has a good involvement because they sponsor the Ashes, which is a very expensive competition to run. But that's really, haven't seen very much more.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So we're happy to work with anyone that wants to work with us.
Jessica is back at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, so
for the
we're back
shepherd.
at
So
2.
can Jody and Jill come up here and we'll just go over something for a minute?
So hopefully we'll all see you at 2.
And we'll see everybody else at 11:15.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.